Careful. Careful. Let's go! Thomas! What the fuck? Hello everybody, this is Train King James here with another review on my channel. If you guys saw my recent surprise inside, you would know what we are reviewing today. This is the Thomas's Fossil Run set. I picked this up in a lot and not new in box, and that is important to understand for the purposes of this review, as there are a few things a little bit wonky about my version versus the actual one in stores. So without further ado, let's get into the look at all the details of what this set provides. So a quick brief history about this set is that it was introduced in 2014 to the TWR line to coincide with the release of Tale of the Brave, a movie that took place primarily at the China Clay Pits, and this set was meant to represent the China Clay Pits in Wooden Railway. So now, let's take a look at the pieces involved in the set. We'll start off with the stock standard Thomas that the set includes in. It's kind of a disappointing piece to see. This was something that was standard in almost all of Mattel's sets at the time, and picking up a Thomas was rather boring. At least have it designed with something related to Tale of the Brave, maybe something a little bit muddier, or even with a surprise face that he's seen fossils, much like he has in the beginning of the movie. However, seeing a new character in Timothy here does help the character appeal a little bit. Timothy was new to the Wooden Railway line at this point, and was likely someone that every person wanted to pick up at the time. So it's nice to have his addition here, but it'd be nice if he had a different character to go along with, other than just Thomas. Cargo cars were something else that were very standard at the time. They were boring and they appeared way too often. So just adding another one to the set just lacks creativity. I think doing a special China Clay car would be more interesting and something that could have coincided with the set a little bit more. I also feel like the set could have used a little more rolling stock, as only one character at the time could use the cargo car unless you wanted to use both, and that's kind of boring after a while. The set does include a special boulder. Mine did not come with those boulders because mine was bought secondhand, and some of the pieces were switched around. I'm not sure what these boulders are from, but they're definitely not the ones that were supposed to be with the set. However, and I'll use them for the purposes of reviewing the set in the review. We have a crossing piece which is actually really nicely designed and has a nice industrial look to it and really fits in with the set's aesthetic. And the Clay Pit's destination itself is the star of the set. This is the reason why I wanted to pick it up, and having a nearly complete version of the set and its destination is really cool. There is a piece missing at the bottom that holds the wooden bases together, but other than that it holds itself finely. You have the nice circular top, which wraps around so you can have endless trips up and down the mountain or even around the top of it. The mountain piece going down is also really cool. Another fascinating part about the Clay Pit's destination is it has some pieces in certain sections that allow you to build onto the set and continue to expand it, such as this mountain ledge here. The special piece of track that comes with it to sit on that ledge, though, doesn't fit quite nicely, as I found myself having a hard time making it sit on that ledge, which makes me believe that this probably wasn't the piece that came with the set, and probably the other one is somewhere else. However, this crossing piece is also another easy addition, so I like that Mattel was very forward-thinking at this time of trying to expand the set in other directions. This was customary on a lot of their sets at the time. And now, let's test it out. So the way the set works is that a person would start at the bottom of the set, make their way around the bottom loop, go up the mountain, pass underneath where the boulder would sit, and reach the top, where they would load up not one, but two fossil pieces. My set only came with the one, so we'll have to work with that for the purposes of this example. Once the piece is loaded, the person would then take this piece down the mountain. However, they trigger the boulder on the way down, be chased down the rocky slope until eventually they crash through the gates at the bottom. It was almost like a race against time, and it's actually a really fun piece to do with the set. You can try to even crash your engines as well. Ultimately, I do enjoy this set, and this was a set that I have wanted for a while, and I'm glad I got it at a reasonably affordable price for what I got out of it. Although my version isn't perfect, I won't be judging it on the version that I have, in terms of the pieces missing and whatnot, but the set's overall intended purpose. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce a grade system I like to do. I'll be grading the set on certain characteristics, and averaging the scores once we have them put together. There will be 5 categories scored out of 10. The first category being the characters, and this category simply means what characters were included and what value do they add to the set. And for this I give a 5. I feel like the characters included in the set, Thomas and Timothy, are applicable, but I feel like the designs, especially on Thomas, are rather boring. They don't add as much to the Tale of Brave aesthetic of the set that was trying to go for. The second category are the buildings, or in this case, destinations. And the massive clay pits destination gets a big 8 for me. I think it's a great piece. It's fun. It does have some playability issues, which I'll get to in a second. But overall, it was a really fun piece to work with. The design overall of the set is really nice. It's simple, and I give it about an 8. The set does its job very nicely, and it's fun to work around and play with. It is a little simply designed, but the way it adds on future pieces for expansion purposes is rather cool, and I give it points for that. Playability I gave a 7. One of the problems I had routinely was Thomas getting stuck in the mechanism with the boulder going up and down the mountain, as well as Timothy. However, this does unfortunately affect the set's grade a little bit, as if it doesn't work perfectly all the time, it is something that is going to affect how much I enjoy it. So I gave it a strong 7, as it didn't happen all the time, but it happened enough to be a noticeable problem. Lastly, the aesthetic. What was the set trying to go for? And I give this set a strong 9. It does feel like something from Tale of the Brave. Even if it doesn't necessarily accurately represent any particular part of the clay pits, it feels a lot like that's what it's trying to be, and it definitely feels like a destination that belongs to this movie. If I average up all the scores, I get a strong 7.4 for the set in its totality, which I think is apt. A 7.4 to me feels like it's a very above average set. It's not perfect, and it's not elite, but it's an above average piece that I think ultimately is a fun set that kids would totally enjoy. All in all, I really enjoyed this set, and I'm really glad I finally own it, at least in some capacity, and who knows, maybe someday I'll get the right pieces and finish out the set. But all in all, I enjoyed what I had, and I think this is going to be a fun set that I highly recommend anybody picking up. So with that, I'm Train King James signing off with this Thomas Wooden Rally review.